Tonight, we look at the Astros lineup and bullpen projections. Isac Paredes' fate still hangs in the balance. Let's try to tackle these issues one at a time and get ready for spring training baseball.
Jainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. He's Brett Chancey. We are the Locked On Astros podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to us. Go and make us first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go and check us out. Go and join the Everydayers Club. We offer something a little bit different than you might get in the traditional YouTube videos. So just something give you a little bit inspiration. So for as little as $5 a month or $50 a year, you can join the Everydayers Club. So today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. So I know spring training has not even begun. I know the Astros made a big trade, or I guess not a big trade, but a trade the other day. We're going to go and talk about what that trade, does that impact the bullpen, the rotation at all? And we'll go ahead and talk about the lineup, especially after Chandler Rome basically speculated that Isac Paredes is not even going to be in the opening day roster. And speaking of Paredes, with Suarez going to the Reds, does Paredes' price tag go up? Just a few of the topics we'll discuss on tonight's Locked On Astros podcast.
Yeah, Eric, and real quick before we get started, I just want to thank TriStar for allowing me to come out and talk to several Astros, different stars, movie stars, TV stars, Texans. That was fun. If you follow me on social media, you'll see some of those interviews. You'll also see we'll create some all access, sound bites for people. And we'll also make a separate episode where I kind of bring together some of those interviews. So it'll be fun hearing from some of the young guns of Houston Astros. But this pitcher that the Astros got, Kai-Wei Teng, he is a guy that may not wow you in the box score initially when you look at maybe his ERA. But this is a guy that does have swing and miss stuff. Over his 29.2 innings with San Francisco last season, he had 11.8 strikeouts per 9 inning. That's solid. In AAA, he had 14.1 swing and miss strikeouts per 9, and that's in the PCL. That's in a Pacific Coast League that is heavy on hitting. So I think that is a great thing. Look, this is a guy that has options, Eric. This is a guy that can help you out, that can help solidify your bullpen. And I think they went out, they got a good guy. They made a trade. They DFA'd JP France. The JP France era, I believe, is probably done for. But I think it's a good signing. A lot of people aren't excited about it, but at this point, at this juncture, you're not going to get any big splash moves. This is a guy goes into the Astros pitching lab and I think has success.
Well, he has the stuff, and he hasn't found it at the big league level yet. He has a low slot release. He has 5 pitches. I know the sweeper is the big one, the one that gets a lot of swing and misses. There's a couple that I think the curveball is one of them that kind of hangs into strike zone a little bit too much. But he has 5 pitches, and the big thing is once he comes over to Houston Astros this spring training, can he adjust to what the Astros want to do? And some pitchers, they're like, oh, yeah, I want to get better. I want to try to become the best pitcher I can be. And some pitchers just like, well, this is what I've always done. I know I'll be successful. I'll just continue doing what I do. But I think that if he adapts to what the Astros, because we've heard this several times from different people, is what the Astros do is they don't necessarily focus on what you do bad. I'm sure that's part of it, but they say, hey, we think that you could do this better. Here's some numbers. Here's what our projections think that if you do this, if you throw this pitch more, if you throw this pitch less, I think you're going to have a lot more success. But I think that the sweeper is his big key. But the question is, where does he fit? Is he going to fit in the Astros rotation? Is he going to fit in the Astros bullpen? Or is he going to fit where I think he's going to be as the depth guy at AAA?
He could be, but I don't think you bring a guy over like this to give you depth in AAA. You bring this guy in.
He has options. That's the one good thing
I
about
know,
it.
But his main reason is not to be depth in AAA. You bring him in to be a contributor at the major league level. Now, someone in the comments is saying, I didn't think JP France was that bad. Well, JP France's velocity has been down since his surgery, and he struggled with his command. Look, JP France, when he was on and he did great for the Astros, he did great. But at the same time, yeah, you just got to move on. I had a conversation with, a couple people today, was talking with some guys in Houston media, and the Astros have a lot of guys that are kind of in the middle when it comes to like their prospects. Like they don't have those studs, but they don't have bottom of the barrel guys. They have mid-level exception type guys. And so the Astros development department's job is to get someone like this guy that they just traded for, Yola and others, over that hump. And if you can do that, you've got a plethora of talent, Eric, that I think is going to contribute. And I think there's under the radar help that's going to happen. And we're going to be surprised of the results, I think, that some of these pitchers are able to get with the new pitching coaches, with the veteran presence. And I think when we talk rotation, there's one guy that I think is key to this rotation in 26.
Yeah, we'll talk rotation probably tomorrow, but I do want to kind of touch on before I want to stick to the bullpen, but to touch on what you're talking about the Astros prospects. The Astros traded Villarreal, the 13th overall prospect, to the Giants. When he went over to the Giants system, he becomes the 27th overall for the Giants. So that just kind of shows where the Astros farm system is, but it is that way because of several different reasons. We're not going to go into that reasons, but we all know it's just winning and then just all the stuff that have happened over the few years, trade and all that stuff. But I do want to focus a little bit on the bullpen, because the reason why I said Teng, there's a chance that he may not even make the opening day roster. That's nothing gets him. We don't know what he's going to do. He may not take right away to what the Astros are trying to do, and maybe it might take some time for him to develop. But the Astros have added 7 pitchers this offseason, and it's amazing. But at the same time, maybe if they would have signed or brought back Ramon Valdez, that you wouldn't have to add all these 7 pitchers. But this is what they're doing. They added Nate Pearson. They added Ryan Weiss. They added Roddery Munoz, Mike Burrows, then also Tatsui Imai, and also now Teng. So that's 7 players that they Cosgrove. I forgot about Cosgrove. They added as a minor league deal. So they have added 7 pitchers to kind of add to the puzzle. So the question is, Brett, with all these different additions, you already have pretty good options for the bullpen and rotation. We'll talk rotation tomorrow. But what does your bullpen look like in your head?
Well, after talking to AJ Blubaugh today, look, I think AJ Blubaugh has the stuff to be a starter, but he basically, in his own words, said, "However I can help this club, I'll do it."
Right.
I think AJ Blubaugh is one of your key long relief guys. He's a guy that can come in. I mean, he can also, when called upon, if need be, he can come in and be like, you know what, guy, you're starting today. So you haven't pitched a couple relief innings. We need you to do a spot start. We have a guy that has a setback, but Bennett Souza, Brian King, Stephen Okert, Nate Pearson probably fits into the bullpen there somewhere. You wonder, Jason Alexander, is he in the bullpen? Is he AAA? Colton Gordon. Do you put him in the bullpen? Do you save him in AAA and bring him up for a spot starter role? But Josh Hader, Abreu, Blubaugh, Bennett Sousa, Ryan King, Stephen O'Kurt, and Nate Pearson, I think are some of the top candidates to be in that bullpen. I don't see a role right now in the bullpen for Lance McCullers Jr. Lance McCullers Jr. is, on a lot of people's mind, but I'm going to bring him into the bullpen conversation because a lot of people are saying, "I'll just throw him in the bullpen."
Well, we'll have to continue this conversation because I don't think we're done talking bullpen because there's so many different options, and that's a good thing about having options. This is something Astros haven't had in the past, but we're going to continue this conversation. And what about the Astros lineup? We'll talk about that next on the Locked On Astros podcast.
It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, just bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go and subscribe to us. Go and make this first listen Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check us out. If you haven't checked out the Everydayers Club, it's this awesome option where you can go ahead and get the extra content that you can't get basically 24 hours a day. Well, we might not respond 24 hours a day, but you can go ahead and get into the conversation 24 hours a day for as little as $5 a month or $50 a year. You can become an everydayer, a part of the Everydayers Club, and you get access to Discord, the ad-free versions, and if you upgrade to the all-access version, there's just a lot more benefits where you can get the daily newsletter. You have access to subtext, like I sent a question the other day, and people are responding, and it's just a way to get into the conversation a little bit more. Plus, you get discount on Locked On merchandise. So there's just many different benefits of becoming an everydayer. So go ahead and go to lockedonastros.supercast.com and become a everydayer today. So, Brett, I know that we're kind of talking at the end about Lance McCullers and Teng and who's going to make the Astros bullpen. Jaden Murray is a guy that kind of impressed towards the end of the season last year. You also have De Los Santos, who is out of options. He was a big asset to the Astros bullpen. You have Roderick Munoz, who's I think the Astros would have to offer him back to the Braves because he's a Rule 5 draft. Right. And the Astros, I think, like what he can offer out of the bullpen. He has that high octane stuff. There are different options. I don't think that Nate Pearson is a lock, but I think going back to Lance McCullers and all these guys, this is a spring training battle, and it's going to be all eyes are going to be on the bullpen because Joe Espada wants to, when he goes out in the 7th inning, 8th inning, 6th inning, whatever it is, he wants to be able to rely on everybody that's coming in. And I think for the first time, you have a bullpen that potentially could be good, but it just depends on the health and how good everybody is.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it is going to come down to number one, health, number two, performance. Obviously, I mean that's what keeps you on the mound. That's what keeps you in the bigs. That's what keeps you from getting traded or moved out. Nate Pearson, because he has not exactly hit that ceiling, I still think he has a pretty high floor, and that's what you look for in talent in baseball. A high floor. The ceiling can go wherever it wants to go. But I think Pearson could be a very, very solid piece in the bullpen. Now, I'm sure if you were to talk to him today, he would say, I'm gunning for one of those starting spots. I mean, that's what he came up as. That's what he was projected as a prospect. But like we've been told by pitchers themselves, they would rather be a major league reliever than a AAA starter. So if that's in the cards for Pearson, he may fit in that role with guys like with a guy like Pearson and Blubaugh in the same bullpen. You potentially have two arms, a lot like we had Brad Peacock back in the day, 2017. If you have two guys like that have, maybe you want to piggyback, maybe some guys are gassed, so you're going to pitch one guy 4 innings, have an opener or whatever. You could mix and match this group, Eric, I think probably just as well as any other group. I think this bullpen is going to turn a lot of heads and is going to keep a lot of zeros on the board, which is going to be great, taking pressure off the offense. And I think the offense is going to be better this year.
The disrespect to Christian Javier, he had the same role before he became a full-time starter. Brett, I'm so shocked. But
what are you talking about disrespect?
The Brad Peacock role, like where he can be that long time.
Because I remember.
I know, I get what you're trying to say. But the more recent people,
I can't wait to talk about him when we talk rotation.
Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow. So I think a lot of this has to do with how they perform in spring training and who's healthy. I think the key word with a lot of these guys, especially in Lansing Colors, is who's healthy. So speaking of who's healthy and who's ready to go, the lineup has been a big talk of the offseason. I think the big questions is A, where is Isac Paredes going to play? And B, who's going to play in the outfield? And I think you have your lineup that you want to show.
Yeah, I do. I do have this lineup, and I hope I have the positions right. And actually, hold on. This lineup is not in proper order. So let's just say this is not the exact order because Isac Paredes is going to hit a lot higher than this. But I have Isac Paredes. Let's look at the positions. Jeremy Pena is shortstop. Jose Altuve in left. Yordan Alvarez, DH. Correa at third. Diaz at catcher. Christian Walker at first. Cam Smith in right. Isac Paredes at second. And Jake Myers in center field. I think Zach Cole can easily take over center field at some point. That kid's got it, man. That kid's got it. He's just got to fix a couple things with the swing, and I think he's there. But again, don't be too hard on me on Isac Paredes being eighth. That's not the order that they would bat in. I just threw guys in where I had a position on the lineup card. But I think if you have Isac Paredes and he's here, Eric, you definitely got to put him at second base. Why would you put him anywhere else, and why would you not give him playing time if he's on this team? This 1.0 projection of the lineup basically comes in saying that Isac Paredes remains a part of this ball club. Christian Walker remains a part of this ball club. And Yordan Alvarez is your full-time DH. And I'm sorry, but Jose Altuve will be playing a lot more left field than they let on.
Well, if you believe what the manager and the GM saying, I don't see that Altuve is going to be playing a lot of left field.
No, so I understand that. But if Isac Paredes is on this team,
right,
you have to put him somewhere every day, and he's not going to the outfield. So who's your next worst or your next best option?
That's the point. That's the stuff that we've been talking about all offseason. It's like, what do you do? Because they really don't want him playing left field. You want to rest Alvarez as the DH. Of course, they'll play left field sometimes, but the Altuve experiment as the semi-regular left fielder, those days are over, I believe. He'll play some. He'll probably play maybe once every, I would say, 2 weeks.
Okay, well, maybe it's a rotation. Maybe it's a rotation thing, right? But he's not going to not play left because Paredes will be in the lineup every single day.
Yeah.
So somebody's going to have to sacrifice. And the only way to get him in the lineup more days than not is to put him at second base. I mean, you can put Yordan out there in left and DH Altuve. I mean, you got about 3 or 4 guys that can bounce around between 2 or 3 different positions. So, and that's why this is a roster construction problem. Dana Brown, you have an issue with the roster that you've constructed. The moment you brought Carlos Correa back, You kicked the can down the road, and now we have this conundrum of where do we put Paredes? Because this team is better with him in the lineup. This team is better with him in the field. And so how are you going to solve this puzzle? I think we got too many of the same pieces in one puzzle.
I think a journalist in Chicago put it the best way. Carlos Correa has become this anchor that the Astros are tied to. And so now they have to kind of maneuver around to try to figure out where Isac Paredes will play. And speaking of which, there was a big signing by the Reds today. How does that affect the Houston Astros? We'll talk about that next. Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen. Why don't you become an everydayers? Part of the Everydayers Club. All you have to do is just go ahead and go to lockedonastros.supercast.com and you become part of the Everydayers Club, whether it's Discord, the ad-free version. You go to All Access, you can get subtext, you can get the daily newsletter, you can get the discounts. There's so many different benefits to becoming an Everydayer. So go ahead and go to lockedonastros.supercast.com and become an Everydayer today. So Brett, I know that if you are everyday, we've been talking about this same topic all year. Yeah, it feels like all year since Carlos Correa was traded. This was inevitable. This was gonna happen. This whole issue that we're having at the time, you had to make that trade. But I think Carlos Correa will be a asset to this team. But the question is, what do you do with Isac Paredes? And for those that don't know, Eugenio Suarez was signed by the Reds today for a 1-year deal, $15 million. So, like, I think you and I were talking about this off air. What is about Suarez where he keeps on bouncing around and nobody was willing to sign him for more than 1 year, $15 million? I know you have a possible lockout coming, but this guy had a monster year last year, and I think it makes it kind of hurts the Mariners a lot because he was a big part of them going deep into the playoffs. But at the same time, it helps the Astros. And the question is, Brett, the Red Sox, they may be desperate because I don't think there's any big name third baseman out there.
Yeah, unless they're going with Meyer, who is, a budding prospect. He, still has yet to make a name for himself. He's at that stage in his career. So I don't know. Right. Maybe the Red Sox give the keys to the third base Maserati to Mayer. But yeah, you're right. This definitely does drive the price of Paredes up. Now the Astros have the luxury of being able to demand more. Like, okay, you want Paredes. You really want him? Well, Ketel Marte's not coming your way. Suarez is in Cincinnati. So pony up, Boston boys. I mean, what do you got for us? What are you going to give us? Are you going to give us Toll? You going to give us Duran? Who are you going to give us? And I don't know that it's going to happen. And a price being driven up, who does it really benefit? But a really interesting question, Eric, is Suarez. Seattle let him walk. Now, I know he's got swing and miss stuff, but nearly 50 home runs. This is a guy that can help you offensively. He got 1 year, $15 million. That seems a little odd to me that he didn't stay in Seattle. I just wanted to share my thoughts on that. Is there something to Suarez that we're not aware of? I just listened to Bryce the other day on Locked On Rangers, and he said the clubhouse issue with Simeon and Seager will not be an issue anymore. I'm like, wow. So all these things are coming to the top. What is it with Suarez? But hey, he's back with his old club. A reunion with Cincinnati. I'm sure Jeff Carr is not upset about that at Locked On Reds. But Eric, the Astros now are in the driver's seat. The question is, does a trade of Paredes make you better, or does it make you worse?
It just depends on what you're getting. If you're just trading him for prospects, it's going to make you worse. Yes, down the road, it's going to help you if you get, let's say you get the Red Sox number 2 prospect overall and something else, then maybe it will help you down the road. But right now, if the Astros are serious about trying to win, trading Paredes, who I think is maybe your third best hitter on this lineup. If everybody's healthy, I think that Alvarez is probably the best hitter. When healthy, Pena is probably second best hitter. Then I think you got Paredes. But if Paredes is healthy, he may be as good as Pena. And so if you go ahead and trade Paredes, who has the best plate discipline, he can hit a whole bunch of home runs at Dyken Park. He can work a pitch count. There's so many different benefits to holding on to him. The question is, where does he play? He's not a type of player that, I know he's rotated before, he's played different positions, but I just don't see the Astros doing that to him. And I don't see him sitting on the bench in his last arbitration year as well. So there's something's got to give.
Well, we had some issues with that last year whenever there was a series where Christian Walker got sat. He was not happy about that. Chandler Holmes talked about that, and
played most of it every day though. But yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying though? These are everyday major league players. These are not your, hey man, I'm the fourth outfielder. Hey man, okay, coach, you need me in the third inning. I'll hop on the field for you. These are dudes that have earned the right to be everyday players. And again, roster construction. They've got to get it right. They've got to find the right combination. They've got to find the right amount of ways to get enough innings and games for these guys, not only to A, stay in a rhythm, but B, I think you stay healthy when you're playing more frequently. Why? Because you have a routine. You're not sitting for 3 days and then going out and getting gas on that fourth day. You're not sitting for, playing for 2 days, sitting for 3, playing for another 2. You got to get these guys in there. And the bottom line is, unfortunately, one of the Astros options or answers is to trade one of their most valuable assets. So only time will tell. Maybe Dana will work his magic and surprise us in spring training.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get too many injury surprises during spring training, but there is a chance that maybe a lot of Paredes playing time will come from Jose Altuve. If he is maybe in his decline, I don't think he's in his declining years, but what if he just gets off to a bad start and they need him around? So it's a question of how well does Paredes adapt to playing second base. I know he's played third base. He's played a little bit of first base. He has played some second base, but it's a different spot, and the ball comes at you a little bit differently than it does at the hot corner. So I'm sure he can adjust. I don't think he'll ever play shortstop, but there's just so many questions that Joe Espada has to answer at spring training. And honestly, Isac Paredes has to answer a lot of these questions with how serious he takes to trying to learn second base and get ready for potentially playing this a lot more in case maybe Altuve says, you know what, I'm a team guy. I'll play a lot more left field. But if you have him playing more left field, you're not going to get the playing time for Cam Smith, Zach Cole, and then Jesús Sánchez, and then
Cam Smith.
But
I'm telling you, man, Cam Smith is not going to let that right field go very easily. Look, to me, Jesús Sánchez, Eric, has value on the trade market. And Dana Brown said he does have suitors. He does have teams calling. Teams probably aren't offering the right combination of return to the Astros. But what Jesús Sánchez has done over his career, what he's able to do from the left side of the plate, this is a guy that I think has value. And you can erase that half of season with the Astros. He didn't do great. And look at the rest of his major league career. He's a guy that I think has tradable assets that people would want. And maybe him along with somebody else sweetens the pot and sweetens the deal. But again, like you had mentioned earlier, Suarez off the books, Ketel Marte definitely staying in Arizona. Then I guess, you know what? The Astros, the ball's in their court to do what they need to do to get this team to being a playoff contender.
Hey, Dana Brown here. Oh, yeah. Isac Paredes, it's going to cost you a little bit to go ahead and try to trade for Isac Paredes. But what about Jesús Sánchez? Oh, you're not interested? Okay. Well,
Hold on. Wait, okay. You just made a mock phone call.
That could be the calls that he's getting, is my point.
Okay, Eric. Okay.
Am I right?
Yes, that is a possibility. Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, they said they have people that are wanting to trade. I mean,
he does have some attributes, especially before he was traded to Houston Astros. He was a good outfielder, and he still can be a good outfielder. Christian Walker was a good first baseman. He can still be a good first baseman. This team has a bunch of good what ifs, but you know what? Isac Paredes is the guaranteed, and I would hate to trade the guaranteed.
Hold on, who are the good what ifs?
Jesús Sánchez and Christian Javier. I mean, not Christian Javier.
Christian Walker, I don't think is. I think Christian Walker is fine. I think Christian Walker. I think everybody's. I think everybody.
He wasn't the superstar, Brett. You expected this guy to come in and be that superstar first baseman that we haven't had in a while.
Well, you know what? He had to adjust. Look, Christian Walker. I'll make sure I get the stadium address, and y'all can all send your apology letters to Christian Walker when he mashes next year, and everybody goes and buys Christian Walker jerseys at the Centerfield store.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen, whether it's on YouTube. Go and subscribe to us. Go and make the first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, go and make the first listen. And tomorrow we'll be talking about the rotation, right, Brett?
Yeah, that's right. Talking about the rotation. And for those of y'all that saw me out at the show, thank you for saying hi. Thank you for continuing to support our show. And if you are an everydayer, and if you like all the latest episodes, you don't want to ever miss an episode with the Everydayer Club. Why? Because it's built for you. Get Locked On Astros ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonastros.supercast.com to join the club today. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB.
All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow, and
go Stros.
Peace.